Hey, what is going on, guys? Rudenall here, come back at you with another batch tutorial. Alright, now in today's video, we're going to be checking out the sort function. Now, the sort function is usually used to actually sort a list or an array into ascending order. It's normally an array that's filled with numbers, integers, and just data that we can, sort and put in like sequential order. And usually we set it up with like a numerical shift. We're going to be going across the list in the array over and over and over again until we actually move everything to the correct position and that sort of thing. It's a little bit complex. There's some interesting logic going on, but I'm sure once we get into the code and you'll actually see what's going on, you'll be able to figure it out. But do keep in mind that the way that we've set up the arrays and we've built the little structure for them, it's all fake. It's all a facade. It's artifice, and we need to be able to update our our array, when we finish actually modifying the indexes, because that's all this little loop that we're going to have to set up will do. It'll modify the indexes, but we still need to actually have it change the array itself, because when we access the array's name, we want it to be able to give us everything that is the current index, no matter what we change it or not. So, let's go ahead and do this. That's enough of me talking. I'll get Notepad++ ready for us, and we can do just that. We can set things up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new script. I'll call mine sort.bat. I'll do add echo off as usual. No set local or anything, because this is going to be a global tool for us as we've been going with this theme just recently. And I guess we can knock the syntax out of the way now, because we're going to need to call sort when we're normally working in another script. This is going to be what we're going to be working with here, and the things that we'll pass in is the array name, and we're going to need the delimiter as well. It might be a good idea to actually set up in your create array script the making sure the delimiter is an accessible instance or list accessible data or variable type sort of thing, because we usually set up like array name length, and length is this like underscore sort of appended variable that we can access, and we can see how long the array is. Well, it would probably be really convenient if we could get the delimiter as well, so we wouldn't have to keep passing it in to all these other functions where we're trying to work with it. Or maybe you want to keep it this way because this gives you the accessibility to change the delimiter. It's really whatever you want to do. You can modify this, you can leave it alone for now. Honestly, I'm going to be leaving it alone for now, and personally I kind of think it's a better idea to make sure things are secure and stable, and I can modify things whenever I need to, though. But at the same time, you're passing around so much data between function, between instance, and it could get a little bit hectic. It really depends on your style and that sort of thing. But anyway, that's enough talk. Let's get started here. First of all, we're going to need to get some information. Since we're going to be working with the array name and the delimiter, let's go ahead and grab those. We're going to be working with the array name as a separate variable other than the %1 as the command line argument, because later on we have to actually index the variable, and if we have the index name, the current position in the loop, and that sort of thing, the expansion really gets freaked out a little bit. So I'll show you that when it comes up, but for now, let's just set that variable. And then, of course, we're going to need the delimiter. So we can set a string delimiter, and that's going to be the second argument that we pass to it. And now we can go ahead and get started by looping through the array. But remember, when we're looping through arrays, we need to actually set up a limit. Because batch doesn't do it the correct way, we have to set it up ourselves. So we can go ahead and set a limit to equal the length, the value of the length here. Oh, subtract 1. So that should be perfect. We should be ready to roll. And let's go ahead and get started. We're going to want a 4-L tag so we can be counting through these things. We're going to start from 0, 1. The 1 can be our step or our incremental value. And then we're going to go up to the limit. And while we're doing that, we're ready to rock. We're looping through it now. Now the thing is, the way we sort through this array, the algorithm actually looks through it multiple times. So whenever you're at one position, it goes through it again and checks to see if there's anything that's greater than, or anything else that we should be modifying whenever we're looking through it. So we're actually going to be using another for loop inside that. It's going to be nested. So we're going to be using 4-L. Oh, I even forgot my variable there. %, %G. That would have been dangerous. 4-L, %, H. That's what we're going to be working with now. We need a new variable to work with. Except when we start our loop, we're going to start from the current position where we left off at. So it's going to be the %, that we initially began with. We're going to keep stepping by 1, and we'll go up until our limit, and then we're ready to rock. We can start that loop, and now we're going to do a pretty interesting thing. Here's where we actually check if there's any data or variables that we need to be working with. So what we need to do is set up a conditional statement where we test if the value of the current position that we're at, if that's greater than the current position in the h loop, %h, what we want to be able to do is actually shift these numbers around. And the way we set that up is by creating like 3 variables. We're going to need to obviously work with the 2 numbers that we're switching around. And the way we switch them around is by setting up a 3rd variable that acts as sort of like a glass of water. If you could imagine pouring a glass of water into another glass, let's say then you poured milk into the initial glass of water that you started with, and then you push the water that you had in the second glass back into the milk. So it's almost like you're just shifting these things around, but you're just using a separate space to be able to do that with. So let's go ahead and set things up here with a temporary variable, and that can be equal to the value of the current position we are at in the G loop. %sign G, that should be perfect. And now we can call create string and go ahead and change these variables around. We're going to need the array name here. We're going to be using array name rather than the %1 because we're indexing here. Because see, if we did %1 and then we tried to index with G again, it's going to try and interpret this as one variable because you can see that's color coded correctly with Notepad++, but it's going to completely ignore the G over on this end. But really, we do need that index, so we're going to use that in our create string, and then here we'll pass in the value of our array name. Oh, I think I just turned caps lock on. And then right after that, we can pass in H for our index, and then we shift over here again, and the H version will now become, you guessed it, that temporary variable that we've set up. So there can be the string form of our temporary variable. And remember, we're using delayed variable expansion here with exclamation points because it's being modified inside the loop. So that gives us an OK. We're all set for here. So now we've actually modified all of the indexes for our array, but we still haven't really updated the array. So we need to be able to do that. We're going to loop through it, turn it into a string, and then pass that to our create array list, or sorry, function, and then it'll just sort of update what we need to. It is a little bit redundant since we're creating an array, shifting it around, sorting it, and remodifying it again, but since we set things up this way in batch, it's kind of something we're just going to have to live with. So for-L, we're going to go through the indexes here. Start from 0, step by 1, and go to the limit, or the end of the array. And while we're doing that, what we're going to be setting up is a string variable. In our case, it's going to be content, and we're going to set it to what it was previously, and it was nothing previously in this for the first time. And then we're going to need the array name with the current position, and we're going to need the value of that, so that should be wrapped around in exclamation points as well. And then we need to decide whether or not we're going to add the delimiter. So normally we're going to need the delimiter only if it's not the end of the loop. So if it is the end of the loop, we can just completely ignore it, but we can set up an if not statement here, %G, %G, and if the current position is not equal to the limit or where we would initially stop at, then we can go ahead and go ahead and add this little delimiter here. So we'll set content to content, what it was previously, with the delimiter just tacked onto the side here. So that's perfect. That adds it all for us. We've got our loop all done, and we're ready to roll. Now what we need to do is actually finish up the array, though. So we can call create array. We're going to pass in the array name. We're going to pass in the string formation of the delimiter. And we're going to pass in the string formation of the content. So boom, we've set up something really awesome here. We've been able to sort through all this information. It has a little bit of an interesting logic flow right down here, but it's something we get to live with. And you know, let's go ahead and test this out now. I'll create a new script, a typical modern day batch script. Alright, so now that we've got our code block here all set up, and we got our own function, what we can do is we can go ahead and call create array. I'll call mine numbers. I'll have a space for delimiter, and I will actually have it be 23, 4, 635, 43, 74, 2, 765, 3, 7. Lots of random numbers. It could be anything, but then we're all set here. Now if we go ahead and echo that out, we can see that numbers exists. I'll drag down CMD, let you guys see this. And we got script. Echo is off. Call create array numbers. What is the problem here? Oh, forgot an S. My bad. Alright, so here's our array. That's all it is to it, but now we can go ahead and sort through this. So I'll create a new line here and call sort numbers and the delimiter. Now remember, we should be either setting up this delimiter as a variable that we can pass back and forth between these two functions, or we could set it up inside our initial create array script. I'll leave that to you guys though, it's whatever you'd like to do. So when we do this, it should run perfectly fine without a problem, and we can go ahead and echo out numbers. Now this will modify the initial array, and now we've got it. Ooh, it's not the way we need it to be. What's the problem here? Array name, delimiter. Oh, I see what I did wrong. I actually forgot to change this to the G over here. I'm sorry about that. Make sure in the second line of your create string, it should be the H that you're changing to, not the temporary. Not the %sign G. So that should work. Let's try it now. If I switch over to my command line, our script, 23, 4, 65, there's our initial one, but when we modify it, we've got 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 43, yada, yada, yada. It's in order now. It's sorted. It's an ascending, numerical, sequential order, just the way it should be. And we can even still get the length of everything. It's still a typical array. We can get pieces out of it, just like we could initially. There's 2 and everything. But check out how slow this goes. If we actually echo out the initial numbers, you can see at the top, and even down there, it takes a little bit of time. You can see the script title up at the top here because it's modifying this array and everything. So this is a little bit slow, but in all honesty, Bash is a little bit slow. You're not working with a real high powerful language here. You're working with a system shell. So do keep in mind that when you're trying to sort of like associate your jobs and what you're working with inside the shell, be wary about time and speed and everything, because it's looping. It's taking some serious time here. You aren't working in anything too powerful, but it is possible. You can do this. So thank you guys for watching, though. I hope you really enjoyed this one. It took me a little bit of time to actually get this set up for you, to build this functionality, and realize that, hey, we still need to update the actual array. And it is a little bit redundant, too, since we're creating it over and over and over again, but it is just something that we've got to work with because we set it up that way ourselves. We can obviously modify it and tweak it, but I'll leave that to you guys. You guys are at such a good standing so far. I think you know what you're working with at this point. Thank you very much, though, guys. It's time to move on. We're going to check out some more functions relating to strings very soon. And in the meantime, stay beautiful. Bye, guys.